Okay, greetings everyone. We're back with the series on the World Championships here, Game 6. And just taking a look at the end of the game, it is Green who took it. So let's go ahead and look at Green's perspective. A lot of Green wins recently. I think overall for this particular tournament, Green was the most likely color to win, which is somewhat counterintuitive, but just goes to show that there's not too much of an inherent advantage. And, even if there is an inherent advantage to red, well, that might mean he gets targeted more easily. So, let's see. Red starts off with a nice, rather slow, but it's a fixing move. It fixes the structure on this side. While it does have a certain weakness, that Green's knight can one day jump to here. And red will be unhappy to take with the pawn because that opens up the diagonal to the king quite easily, as we've seen before. But of course, there's no need for Green to play this knight here right now. He can save that for later. There's really no way in the future for red to stop this move, so it might be a little bit better to get out into the center first. And yellow has also pincered Green from the other side, so this is not an easy game for Green to develop, so I'm very curious to see how Green develops in this game. Blue going with a very interesting opening, not bringing the queen out early, so it seems like Blue might actually be throwing Green under the bus. Now that being said, yellow is also not developing the queen, but instead blocking it off with both players on the side. So this game might not have an early mate. We'll see. Red significantly weakening the dark squares. It's interesting. Oh, okay. And this is interesting now that Green has blocked this off. Red has decided to go for this development move. But again, the dark squares are weak. But again, at the same time, Green cannot now abuse this knight move. So if Green had not played here, then red would not be able to play here because of the knight sack. Or at least he would be less willing to. Okay, and this is sort of a risky move by Green. Because if you're taken, then your king will be weaker. But at the same time, you'll start a fight with red, and red doesn't necessarily want to start a fight with an individual player on move 3. So I'm not sure. In some cases, red would want to take this if it's easy to attack Green, like if yellow's queen were out and it would be easy to support. But in this case, I think red would rather not take that. Yes, and I'm right. So red would rather not choose to en passant and choose to keep the tension here. Not keep the tension, sorry, but to block it off, to release all tension, right? Okay. And this way, the problem of red's weak dark squares will be lessened since the dark square diagonals are blocked off. So that's good for red. I like red and Green's, tiny alliance here, or cooperation to block it off. And now we do see pretty typical setup from yellow. Green does move in and take advantage of the structure here. And we can see on the king's side that he did get his knight out to here, even though the pawn came from the beginning of the game. So this can be considered a decent result for Green. This pawn could become weak later, but that's about it. Okay. And Green not wanting to give yellow the opportunity to take here. Also, the knight was not well placed on this square now that the queen is defending it. And defending this pawn, the queen will not leave the defense of that pawn. So since knights are also much better on king defense than on Yeah, they're just much better on king defense than anything else. He's probably looking to reroute the knight, or just to here, for the king defense later. Okay. And red chooses to not castle, but to leave the rook here. Interesting. And blue's setup. Blue's setup is quite slow. But I sort of understand the plan, which is to get a very nicely castled king on the queen side with none of these pawns pushed. Not necessarily castled, but he'll probably move the king to the queen side. And green also blocking this diagonal. Yellow looking to move this pawn up, perhaps, with the knight defense. And if yellow gets these pawns rolling, it will be difficult for everyone to combat that. Meanwhile, yes, blue has done this, and we'll probably look to castle or move the king-queen side. Oops, I skipped something. Okay. And now, interesting, so this knight is... not sure what this knight is doing exactly. Now it seems easy for yellow to push this pawn and get value out of it. Okay, yeah, maybe it'll reveal itself in a move or two, but I'm not sure what the point of that was yet. And also gave a check. Doesn't really matter though. Red could have taken advantage of this, but then, you know, if red takes this, yellow also has the option not to check. So it's difficult for red to make that decision. Okay, and we see green not yielding any ground by making this pawn move. Green saying, if you want to trade, then trade, go ahead. If you want to trade, then trade, go ahead, but I'm not gonna yield to you here. So it's likely that yellow will just push the pawn, although that brings its own risks for later. And okay, blue's getting frisky on yellow now. Now yellow can just take this knight. I'm curious to see what would happen in that case. I guess part of the reason for this knight being here is that green can deliver a check on yellow at any time, which is incredibly valuable when green is to the left of yellow. So we'll see what happens here. But I think yellow would just go ahead and take that. No, he decides to take with check here. So if yellow took this knight, then what would we see? Well, we'd see taking here, and perhaps blue would move to cover this diagonal ahead of time. But the knight covers anyway, so I don't know if I agree with that. What would happen if we saw the knight check? Well, maybe he's checking blue just to stop green. Sorry, he's checking green just to stop green from checking him on the next move. But now this is coming, and red is slowly getting the queen out, but a little slow to do so. Okay. So what happens if you just take the knight? Can't take the knight. So if you just take the knight, then there's a check here, and there's also a check here, but I don't see how that can be a checkmate just from blue here, with this knight already off. Actually, it would be quite funny if there were a smothered mate from two knights. Can that happen now? Can't there just be a smothered mate from two knights? Yeah, why wouldn't you just take that off? So it looks like there's a smothered mate. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so red heavily going in here. It might actually be better for blue to take this queen, because that's a huge sacrifice from red for a very cheap cost of this knight, and I guess one blue knight, so like sort of two knights for red's queen. But this is checkmate, but I don't know, I might be tempted to take the queen here. Okay, he takes with the pawn. Interesting. So what does that mean if you're taking with the pawn? Perhaps that means for an endgame you would like to have a very safe king behind like a big wall of pawns. I don't know though. The activity of the bishop, especially ranging this diagonal, might be better for this point in the game. Might have taken with the bishop instead. Okay, so then yellow can take the knight, but still the structure is harmed. This is opened. Still hasn't been able to capture this knight. So about this knight move from before, you know, I think it was better just to take this knight off. Then red wouldn't have had to sacrifice the queen and stuff. Okay. And now, okay, what did he take? Yeah, just took the knight, and now blue can check. Probably better to check from here. But there's also a knight check if he needs it. And, oh, okay. So perhaps blue is also taking this way in order to make it so that when red goes for another check, then he would have to sacrifice again for a pawn. It wouldn't be a trade. That's kind of smart. Okay, and the queen also covers that square. Okay, so check. And now it should be a checkmate. Or it would be if there were not another check coming from red, perhaps. So now green should not go for it. Yeah, green should back off, as he did. And now yellow's falling apart here. Finally takes that knight off, gets rid of one check. And blue should try to sidestep the checks, I think. Green attacking this knight. Okay, blue decides not to side. Oh, there is no check anymore. So they, oh no, there was no mate anymore because green ran with the queen. Okay. Yellow pushes that, so that defends this pawn and also the knight at the same time. Pretty efficient move, but I don't think it's going to be enough to save the position. Okay, that pawn goes down. Now let's see. Yeah, red can't do anything more to save. King there. Okay. And there's the mate. But now blue is going to get taken out like quite hard. That queen's gone, that bishop's gone. So if you're blue in this position, I don't know if you should go for that checkmate. It's not worth 20 points to lose these two and just get the points. So you should sort of be mad at green for making this move and just, I don't know, perhaps let him die. I don't know, it's a tough call either way because it'll be easier for the other players to team on you. But yellow is still quite weak. So I think it might have worked out. Okay, so basically blue lost everything in that trade. Now actually I think green, with the only queen left, can start to promote and mop up any hanging material. So green allows blue to promote, but then promotes himself and trades that one off. But it's going to be easier for green to make more queens. Take that, okay. Oh wow, but he didn't take it. Blue had access to taking this queen right here and did not choose to do so. I don't know, maybe that would have brought the teaming up too hard upon him, but I guess if he takes this, green just promotes another queen. Calls it a day. But I was going to promote that one anyway. So I don't understand. Okay. Green's just going to slowly build up. Slowly try to make more queens. Avoid the trades. And if he can make like 2 more queens, then he'll basically be inassailable. Alright, so we see red sack for that. Red promotes 1. Now red taking this, I do understand, because blue is a heavy point leader. And red looks pretty good right now. It's just a bit of a points issue. It takes that. Now blue might take some profit here. No, blue did not get any profit off of red there. I'm amazed that green wins this game, but let's see. Not sure why blue is defending green from red. I think, well, no. Actually, red is in a position where he has too much material, so that's the trick. Alright, so red attacks this queen, blue attacks red's queen, red trades, and ultimately right. Okay, so now there's a lot of work being done to take out blue as who's the point leader. Right, so you basically have to, if you're red, you basically have to deal with blue before you can deal with green, because blue has even more material and more points. So red and green will work together. This check couldn't happen because why? I mean, I know there would be a lot of checks on blue. Maybe it would have been enough to mate. I don't know. I know there wouldn't. I mean, it's a check on red as well, so maybe that would have worked. But now I think green will try to keep distracting blue while red promotes. Yeah. And then red and green might deal with blue here. Yeah, but then, oh, and with that, okay, nice, nicely done by green. So green got out of range. He got, let's see what, I guess, okay. So it was always the case during this endgame that if green captured, or got the checkmate on blue, then it wouldn't have been enough. So actually blue continually checking red there turned out to be bad. I guess this move was bad. Because if you are giving the points over to green, then it's already enough for green. And red simply resigned. Or it was a win claim, I don't know. Check out the comments here, see what people were saying. They're just guessing who the players were. Let's see what the players say sort of at the end here. Players. Vasily had 4 green in a row. Nice. Queen takes I5. Queen takes I5 is what they're talking about. I5 would be here. Right. So Blue was mentioning a lot about how it's almost impossible to win 1 versus 2 in the end game with with an unsheltered king, which is pretty much true. Yeah, red was able to queen, and then blue was able, or green was able to take home the 20 points for the victory there. Right. Move 100 grid, amazing match saver. Let's see what that means. Yes. Well, yeah, green had to bring back the queen here. If green does not bring back the queen, then there's king up and checkmate, the next move with this bishop. So green had to rely on red to throw a check here. If not, if red just moved randomly, then green would have to go here. Blue would take the queen and threaten mate, and there basically be no way to stop mate as well. So in that particular situation, rook, bishop, and this almost promoted pawn would be enough to beat red anyway. So actually red went for this check in order to increase his chances later. And then green profited heavily from that by getting the win in the game. It's interesting. Yeah, but I think maybe if blue had taken that queen of greens back in time, it could have been one way to change the game. I'm not sure if that would have been enough. Because red and green would try to help each other promote by distracting blue. He'd be even farther ahead at that point. But since he became the target anyway, why not be the target and have taken it out an extra queen for free, right? That's the problem here. If people are going to team on you, then if you're offered their queen, then you should just take it, right? Not saying it would have been enough, but I'm saying it would have been better. All right. So well done to all players, and nice job, Arsene Vasily, taking the win in this one. We'll continue this series in Game 7.